You know, we just played that clip from President Biden actually giving a shout out to Tesla, but that has been something that's been missing for quite a while. Tesla hasn't been invited to these White House meetings, and Elon Musk isn't really somebody who's been heralded. And the reporting has said that, you know, this is happening because the administration doesn't like Tesla because they're seen as anti-union. Made in America, does that mean union only? Or made in America, is it good as long as it's providing good jobs for people here in this country?
Look, as you know, the president strongly believes in every worker having the free choice to join a union. We believe in good paying jobs, and we believe that unions built the middle class. We also admire the range of American companies that have innovated, including Tesla, which did so much to make EVs possible in America. Now it's mainstream. Earlier on, at a time, by the way, of course, when U.S. policy with tax credits was supporting companies like Tesla, you know, that wasn't viewed as such a sure bet. Now we see some of the most iconic, some would have said old school names in auto manufacturing out of Detroit, right there alongside companies out of Silicon Valley, all of them in very different ways, helping move America toward this goal. We need to make sure that we have all of the different parts of American industry and of the American workforce attuned to this goal, because this is the future. Again, there's no question whether autos are headed electric. The question is, will we get there in time? Will it be made in America? And will it be done in a way that all Americans can benefit, that Americans can afford these vehicles and capture those savings, those gas and diesel savings that you have when you're filling up with electrons instead of gas and diesel?
That's a really good point. If you want this to be affordable to everybody, why is it set up in tax credits as this way? Because to qualify for the full $7,500 tax credit, you need to have at least $10,000 in taxes that you owe. If you look at the demographic for who buys these things, in 2019, the top category was white men who earn at least $100,000, have a college degree. I mean, it's not mass market at this point, and the way the credits have been set up aren't necessarily designed to make it so.
And that's exactly why we've proposed a new model going forward. This is in the president's Build Back Better proposal to Congress. The idea is to make sure that we buy down that sticker cost so that everybody can capture the savings. Look, there's a lot of interesting coverage, even just this month, about when we see parity. In other words, when we see the moment when an EV is cheaper to buy and own than a regular internal combustion engine vehicle. By some accounts, on some vehicles, that's already true, but not in terms of the sticker price. It's only if you have the total cost of ownership factored in and those tax credits. So we can redesign the tax credits in a smarter way, and that's part of what we've put forward.
You look at these pickup. Senator Manchin's not going to support it. Is this going to survive in some way? Is this going to be carved out?
Look, there are so many policies in the president's Build Back Better vision. I can't say what name they're going to go by or what package they're going to move in. I can't say that they're good policies that deserve to happen and move forward. And I can also say that whatever happens with Build Back Better, we are already working with the historic bipartisan infrastructure law that did pass, that did get signed, and that, among other things, is calling on my department and the Department of Energy to team up, as we're doing, to prepare $7.5 billion in support for states that are going to come in with their plans on building out those EV charging networks that are such an important part of this. And look, EV chargers, it's going to be a little different than what we're used to with gas stations. In some ways, it's easier because you can have them at residences and workplaces. In other ways, it's harder because there are different amounts of time associated with different kinds of chargers. This is going to be a huge part of the story of American transportation, even just in the next 5 years. And I'm not sure folks realize what a big revolution this is. It's one of the reasons yesterday's announcement about those chargers themselves being manufactured here in the United States is such good news.
Mr. Secretary, on the screen right now, we're listing Tesla, Ford, General Motors. We had Rivian on that list, and we also had Lucid on that list. And one of the things that's fascinating is if you read the reviews of these vehicles, Tesla, Lucid, and Rivian get outstanding marks, typically much higher, frankly, than Ford and GM for their EV vehicles. Those companies, of course, non-unionized. And I'm curious what you make of that.
Well, look, I'm not going to come on here and endorse an individual product or pit one American company against each other. They are out there competing. I will say it's important for us to move toward widespread adoption of electric vehicles. So it's one thing if they're viewed as luxury cars, and that's definitely how kind of the early generations of EVs tended to be viewed. It's another to make sure that these are the standard for all different kinds of categories of vehicles. And what I'm seeing, both from the traditional Detroit OEMs and from the newer, younger companies, is that what they are generating in terms of these electric vehicles are extraordinary. They can outcompete their combustion engine counterparts, and I can tell you from having been able to experience them personally, they're a pleasure to drive and to ride.
Secretary Buttigieg, we've talked a lot about the 5G rollout and the problems that have existed because the differences between the FAA and the FCC. I've heard from people who are in the know on this that you were pretty essential behind the scenes in getting all sides to kind of come to the table. How do you think this resolves itself?
Well, I really appreciate the collaboration that has gone on between people who weren't normally asked to be in the same room. Look, the telecom world and the aviation sector are very different, but have this area where there's such an important need for collaboration. The same is true on the public sector side, with everybody in the federal government who deals with spectrum, who deals with telecommunications, and who deals with aviation to be engaging. Really encouraged by the way that collaboration has happened, especially in the weeks since we were seeing those very real concerns about flight disruptions. We got a long way to go. We got to continue to refine not just the technical side, but the way we approach these things as a government. Not just so that 5G cell service for our cell phones and aviation can coexist comfortably, but as we see more and more different uses of the spectrum, making sure that unfolds in a way that makes sense for all Americans, for industry, for the economy, and for safety, of course.